Angie Dickinson was smack dab in the thick of the crazy 1950s Hollywood scene. Secrets, loves, and love affairs were as sizzling as the California heat beneath all the glitz and glitter and paparazzi. Among those caught up in the mayhem was the mesmerizing Angie Dickinson. Many were enchanted by her charisma and good looks, but she let herself be loved by only one man. At the age of 93, Angie is finally speaking up about her soulmate. About Angie Dickinson. Allure, physical appearance, and charisma. She had it all, Angie Dickinson. The fact that she was so beloved by the males of Hollywood is hardly surprising. Nevertheless, her romantic life was characterized by more sadness than joy, even though she was the center of attention. At least until she crossed paths with the man who would end up being her soulmate. Okay then, who was it that won the heart of Angie Dickinson? To find out, continue watching. Angeline Brown, often known as Angie by those close to her, was born on September 30, 1931, in Combe, North Dakota, to Dickinson and her three sisters. Frederica and Leo Henry Brown were born into a German family whose name was originally Braun. She was born into that family. As a child, Angie was immersed in books and stories because her parents were Roman Catholic. The Eggley Mail and the Calm Messenger were both owned and edited by her father. Additionally, he instilled in Angie a love of cinema through his profession as the projectionist for the town's Soul Movie Theater, which was operational until it burned down. Her family relocated to Burbank, California, when she was 10 years old in 1942. She went to high school at Bellarmine Jefferson, completed their education by the time they were 15 years old. This brilliant youngster took home first place in last year's Bill of Rights essay contest, which was in its 6th year. After finishing her undergraduate degree in commerce in 1954 at Glendale Community College, Angie continued her education in Los Angeles' Immaculate Heart College. She was going to follow in her father's footsteps and become a writer, but she quickly changed her mind. Although she was a student, Angie worked as a secretary at Bob Hope Airport, formerly Lockheed Air Terminal, at a parts manufacturer from 1950 to 1952. She became known as Angie Dickinson after marrying football player Gene Dickinson in 1952. Her foray into the entertainment industry started practically by chance. An agent saw her compete in a regional Miss America preliminary and offered her a position as one of 6 showgirls on Jimmy Durante's show when she placed second. A television producer saw her performance and suggested she try acting. The suggestion was taken seriously by Angie, and she started to learn the skill. A number of variety shows, notably the Colgate Comedy Hour, asked her to be a guest star before long, and she accepted. She met Frank Sinatra not long after, and the two went on to have a connection that would last a lifetime and beyond. Initial draft. She made her acting debut on an episode of Death Valley Days on New Year's Eve in 1954. After that, her career took off. The Virginian, Gunsmoke, City Detective, Buffalo Bill Jr., Matinee Theater, and countless more were among the shows in which Angie appeared. A stunning, intelligent, and incredibly charismatic new celebrity had emerged in Hollywood. It wasn't long before Angie Dickinson was a household name on television by 1956. Her acting career began with an appearance on Wyatt Earp's The Life and Legend, and it continued with a cameo spot on Have Gun. We'll travel the following year in an episode called A Matter of Ethics. Even if it was slow, her ascent was noticeable. Her 1958 film cult, 45, starred her as Laura Meadows. She also portrayed Mrs. Fargo in Perry Mason's The Case of the One-Eyed Witness that same year. Shows like Wagon Train, Men into Space, and Mike Hammer allowed Dickinson to hone her craft and showcase her versatility, and she made an indelible mark with each character she played. She played Carol Treadman in recurring episodes of Dr. Kildare on NBC in 1965. Plus, she and Robert Duvall wowed moviegoers a year ago in The Fugitive, when she played a crafty conspirator. In 2 Alfred Hitchcock Hour episodes, including the terrifying Thanatos Palace Hotel, she played a troubled guest in addition to an adulterous wife and state trooper. In her modest beginnings, Dickinson appeared in films like Lucky Me, 1954, and Man with the Gun, 1955, without receiving any recognition. However, she made her acting debut in 1956's Gun the Man Down, co-starring with James Arnes. Angie became more nuanced and fearless in her portrayal of the gritty, darker aspects of storytelling in Chinagate, 1957, a Sam Fuller cult classic. Dickinson chose a honey blonde hair color instead of the platinum blonde bombshell that Hollywood actresses like Marilyn Monroe and Jane Mansfield popularized. Her path was unique. It combined sensuality and intelligence. Shootout at Medicine Bend, 1957, and Cry Terror, 1958, 2 criminal dramas in which she co-starred with James Mason and Rod Steiger as a cold-blooded femme fatale, were among her early film appearances. After that, in 1959's Rio Bravo, directed by Howard Hawks, Angie starred as Feathers, a daring and seductive gambler who wins over the Sheriff John Wayne, her boyhood hero on screen. Dickinson gracefully held her own amidst A-listers like Ricky Nelson and Dean Martin, and the cameras couldn't tear their eyes away from her. Fame, though, was not without its challenges. Despite being caught unawares and disillusioned, Dickinson persisted when Hawks sold her personal contract to a major studio. She broke through in the 60s, winning major roles in films including Richard Burton's The Bramble Bush and the star-studded 1960 film Ocean's 11, in which she reunited with Sinatra and Martin. She had a variety of parts, from a troubled nurse in 1961's The Sins of Rachel Cade to a manipulative lover in 1962's Rome Adventure. And Jessica, 1962, the protagonist, a midwife despised by envious spouses. Big Bad Mama, which came out in 1974, was her most daring part nonetheless. In her audacious portrayal as the seductive and ferocious Wilma McClatchy, Dickinson shocked moviegoers with a naked scene involving William Shatner and Tom Skerritt. A new kind of attention was being directed towards her when she entered her 40s, drawing in fans of a younger age and changing the stereotype of a Hollywood siren. The memorable 1966 cover of Esquire magazine, in which she appeared in nothing but a jumper and tights, solidified her iconic position. Decades after the photo went viral, Britney Spears was asked by Esquire to duplicate the look for their 70th anniversary edition, paying homage to Dickinson's evergreen charm, playing the part of the policewoman. An episode of the highly renowned successful anthology series, Police Story, aired in March 1974, marking Dickinson's debut to television at the age of 42. She was so captivating during her performance that NBC did more than just notice. They gave her her very own show. Dickinson was hesitant at first. Despite the creative constraints and long hours that came with working on a series, the producers were masters at selling the idea. A household name could be in your future. That was the final straw for her. A TV icon and a policewoman were both born. A number of records and regulations were broken throughout the series. As Sergeant Pepper Anderson, Dickinson made history as more than just the first female lead in a hit hour-long TV drama. Every subsequent police drama starring female leads owes a debt of gratitude to her. The show followed Anderson as he worked in the criminal conspiracy unit of the Los Angeles Police Department, sometimes operating incognito. Above all else, she was unavoidable. She was strong, intelligent, and full of surprises. Along with Earl Holliman, Ed Bernard, and Charles Deercop, Dickinson didn't merely portray a police officer. On the police force, She embodied the ideal that all women aspired to be and that all men found irresistible. Surprisingly, Policewoman achieved #1 in numerous nations within its first year of release. Her work was recognized with a Golden Globe, had 3 nominations for the Emmys. However, after a while, the radiance faded. Not because of what the position stood for, but because of the demands it placed on her. Dickinson admitted in an interview from 2019 that she regretted accepting it. Stays the same. She told Fox News Digital that it's incredibly challenging. Although the role catapulted her to stardom, it cut into her time for other projects and hobbies. It was irrelevant whether I thought it was inspiring or not, she confessed, since she had signed the contract. However, I was led to believe that the point was to say, "Don't you want to be a role model?" That was enough to keep her there. It was still unusual to see a lady in uniform in 1974. It wasn't enough for Dickinson to simply wear the emblem. She gave it new life. A national phenomenon was established by a policewoman. There was an increase in the number of female applicants to police departments in the United States. There could be no denying the domino effect. Pepper Anderson is largely responsible for the creation of Cagney and Lacey, Charlie's Angels, and the Bionic Lady. Even though Dickinson never identified with the feminist movement, she had set the spark. She told AARP that she had never considered herself a feminist. "Men have never made me feel competitive." She was very honest and self-aware in her beliefs. "I never tried to outdo male actors for parts. This part called for a female actor." With scathing humor, Dickinson accepted her role as a symbol. "Do they use my legs for sex?" Aside from that, she didn't have much else to offer. However, limited creative freedom was a cost of elegance. The repetitive bath scenes, those lovely moments when the phone always appeared to ring in the middle of the suds, made her cringe. One thing she saw was that being a woman is almost all a woman does for a living. Maybe that was a bold claim, but for a career defined by paradox, it worked. With Sinatra's passing in 1998, their friendship came to an end. Instead of animosity, they had mutual regard for one another and a long history of affection. His adoration from Angie was constant. The mere thought of him brought a grin to her face, and she went on to say that he was the most significant man in her life. His acting and singing abilities was something she greatly admired. Even if he didn't always want to, she thought he could handle everything thrown at him.